Hi, it's Matikela. Welcome to my YouTube channel. So today I want us to talk about something very serious that happened in the courtroom. Because wow, I think whatever happens happens. But one thing for sure, something very strange just happened inside the courtroom of the Senzo Meyiwa murder trial, and it had suddenly placed the spotlight on one of the most dangerous battlegrounds in modern criminal trials: digital evidence. Okay, because wow, we started as a routine what started as a routine cross examination quickly turned into a confrontation over cell phone photos, metadata, and a question that made the entire courtroom pause. Are these photos real evidence or a technical puzzle that hasn't been properly verified? Let's walk through what happened. The state led the state we who's this man? The state led by prosecutor advocate George Baloyi suddenly introduced cell phone photographs they claim were taken by Bongani Ndanzi inside the prison cells or the police station holding cells. According to the state narrative, these photos, guys, are supposed to be taken inside holding cells, police station holding cells. Hang on to that. Hang on to that. If that claim holds, it should support a very specific timeline the prosecution wants the court to believe. But the moment the photos appeared, something unexpected happened. Ndanzi did not panic. He didn't hesitate. He looked directly toward the court and calmly rejected the entire premise. It was just like, what? You say I took these pictures inside a prison or inside a holding cell, police station holding cell somewhere in Gauteng? Are you for real right now? According to Bongani Ndanzi, those photos were not taken inside a prison cell at all. They were taken at his home before he traveled back to Rustenburg for work. And just like that, the courtroom confrontation exploded. Before we go any further, aren't we supposed to see, okay, aren't the photos supposed to show Bongani Ndanzi wearing Impala jackets and what t-shirt was he wearing? I think he was wearing a t-shirt or a golf shirt. Yeah, Fabian. Ne? Yes. And isn't that supposed to be a selfie photo because he was alone in the cell? Isn't that what it's supposed to be? Because when Baloyi was going through the pages, I saw red picture, red top there, and I'm like, I was like, as Baloyi was going through, I saw this one in a red top, and I'm like, Ubongani Ndanzi, when he got arrested, he was wearing Impala jacket. I don't know how it looks like, but according to him. So, Jay, from that alone, that's problematic. That's problematic. Okay, let's move. Now, the state insisted the truth was already hidden inside the photos themselves, not in what they show, but in the metadata attached to them. Metadata is the invisible information stored inside the digital file. It can contain things, details like the exact time and, the exact date and time a photo was taken, the device used to capture it, sometimes even the GPS location. In fact, not sometimes, all the time. So Prosecutor Baloyi leaned heavily on that argument. He insisted metadata cannot be manipulated. If metadata cannot be manipulated, why do we have most of the time manipulated? Okay, let's leave it for that. If the metadata also says the photo was taken at a certain time and place, then the data should be trusted. But the defense immediately pushed back because the situation unfolding in court raised several uncomfortable questions. First, the timing. The defense revealed something settling. These photos had only been sent to them about an hour before the court began. Think about that for a moment. Why would Baloyi do that? Evidence that could potentially place an accused person inside a prison cell suddenly appears just minutes before proceedings began. Njani? In any criminal trial, that creates a serious problem because defense lawyers must be given enough time to examine evidence properly. They must analyze it, cross-check it, consult with experts if necessary. Without that preparation, it becomes extremely difficult to challenge technical evidence. That is why Advocate Zandile Mshololo, Advocate Mnisi, Advocate Ramusipili immediately raised consent. The problem wasn't just the photos, it was the way the information was being presented to them. Inside the courtroom, the files were displayed in a digital form, metadata pages, photo pages, different exposures. But as the defense tried to follow the material, something became obvious. No one could clearly tell which metadata belonged to which photo. Even Ndanzi himself pointed this out directly. He told the court that he was trying to follow the evidence of his phone, where the images had been sent earlier that morning. But the information was confusing. Metadata appeared on one page, photos appeared on another. The state was flipping between them, and the connection between them was not immediately clear. That's when Ndanzi made a very simple, powerful request to print the photos, hard copies, so that each image could be matched clearly with its corresponding metadata. It sounds like a small request, but in that moment, it forced the entire courtroom to stop because suddenly the question was no longer about the photos. It was about whether the digital evidence itself could be properly understood. Even the presiding judge, Vrata Mokwatleng, acknowledged the confusion. He noted that technology can sometimes be interpreted differently by people. No, he was referring to himself. He's not understanding Jack. But you know him. He likes guessing people. He likes gaslighting people. So to illustrate his point, he even made an unusual comparison. He mentioned Usain Bolt, the fastest man in the world. Bolt runs 100 meters in under 10 seconds. Excuse you, we don't care about that. But the judge pointed out that in photography, even seconds matter. So two exposures ultimately decided the court needed to slow down. The photos will be printed, the metadata will be examined properly, and the proceedings were adjourned for a moment. Because here is an uncomfortable truth about digital evidence. Metadata is not inside a file. Under certain circumstances, that metadata can change when a photo is edited, when it is exported, when it is transferred between devices, when it is sent through messaging applications like WhatsApp, and even when it is opened and saved through certain software programs. In some cases, metadata can even be edited manually using specialized tools. That is why courts around the world do not rely on metadata alone. You need an expert to come and tell you. Digital evidence normally requires forensic extraction from an original device handled by trained digital forensic experts with a documented chain of custody. That process ensures the files have not been altered. Without that process, metadata becomes a claim rather than proof. And this is where today's courtroom became a claim. This is where the courtroom moment became particularly significant, because if the defense begins questioning the authenticity or the integrity of the files, the state may need to prove several things. Where exactly did the photos come from? Which device originally stored them? Who extracted them? When were they extracted? And has the metadata remained untouched throughout the process? Those questions matter because digital evidence can be extremely powerful, but only if it is handled correctly. Do you understand? So what made today's moment even more striking was Ndanzi's reaction. Remember, Ndanzi is not a digital forensic expert. He's not a lawyer, but his own background, he is working at the mines, okay? He works like a machine operator in a platinum mine around Rustenburg. Yet in that courtroom, filled with lawyers and technical arguments, he did something very simple. He questioned the evidence that was placed in front of him or before him. He asked the court to slow down and verify details. And that request forced everyone in the courtroom to pause, because sometimes the most effective challenge in court is not complicated, okay? It's not about legal jargons and stuff. It is a straightforward demand for transparency. Now, the trial faces critical moments. If printed photos clearly match their metadata and the forensic process checks out, the state may strengthen its case. But if inconsistencies appear, if timestamps do not align, if metadata appears disconnected from the images, or if the chain of custody cannot be clearly explained, then what was presented as powerful digital evidence could suddenly become a source of reasonable doubt. And in criminal law, reasonable doubt changes everything. So the question now hanging over the courtroom is this: are these photos the breakthrough the state believes they are? Or are they about unravel under closer scrutiny? Once Ramasipile goes one by one on all of them, are they going to remain the same, remain working for the state? Then the next session on this trial may bring answers. We will see what happens. And when that happens, then the implication could reshape how the courtroom understands the timeline of events. Because in the digital age, evidence is no longer just about what we see. Sometimes the real battle happens inside the data that is hidden behind the image. And today, that data was challenged in open court, and it was challenged by an accused person who is sitting in the witness box by the name of Bongani Ndanzi. He's fighting for his life. What are your thoughts when it comes to this? Let's talk in the comment section. I want to hear your views. Thank you so much. I'll see you on our next video. Bye-bye.